Hello and welcome to another DAWNCast. I'm Dai Lee, and today we've got Amy Nguyen, founder of Zen Tea Lounge, joining us to talk about her passion in bringing awareness to women and to domestic violence. So thank you so much for joining us, Amy.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here today.
Yeah. Look, I know that you're so passionate about supporting women, especially women from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds who have been through a very difficult journey in terms of domestic violence. But before we go there, tell us the purpose of Zen Tea Lounge. Why did you set that up?
Okay, so Zen Tea Lounge Foundation is not set up by me. It's set up by a group of Vietnamese and people that came to Australia over 30 years ago, and we gathered together, we donated our money and time, and we set it up together. So I'm just a representative. I'm literally just a back-end person.
So one of the founders, one of the founding members.
Yes.
She's very humble.
Been kind.
One of the founding members of Zen Tea Lounge. And why did this group of people felt the need to set Zen Tea Lounge up?
Okay, we feel that there is a disconnection in terms of trust between the women in our community towards the mainstream systems. For them, there's a difficulty, there's a barriers of communications, there's a lack of trust and support in terms of community connections. So we thought, well, if we build up something, a safe house for our women from ethnic background, it started with just Vietnamese ladies, and then eventually we have all different nationality came to us. So it's just a collective. It came by demand.
So was it a space, like was it a physical tea lounge, or was it just a space so that women got together to talk about issues?
Initially, it was just a safe workspace for women that are affected by domestic violence and abuse. And then it takes further then, and then we realized that work readiness is just, it gives people the financial freedom. But in terms of emotional, we're still bound with that. We've still been limited. So we create our program further to empower our women towards confidence and self-beliefs, and then that's where the program kept expanding per demand, I guess.
So at the moment, I know that there is a physical Zen Tea Lounge.
That's right.
In Sydney Southwest, in the suburb of Smithfield. So those of you who are not from Sydney or Australia, that's it's in Australia, in New South Wales, and in the outer west of Sydney. So there is a physical restaurant that you run.
Little tiny place.
Yeah.
Very, very small. and a beautiful garden that been put together by our volunteers.
Yeah.
And then we run program outside of Smithfield. So we run program from Parramatta to Liverpool, where we run workshops and gathering events to empower women and children. Yeah.
And so how long have you been around now?
We're very new. We are literally a newborn baby. We're only 3 years old, or a little bit over. But yeah, still learning.
Well, it's good. You start out slow. 3 years is a good. It's a toddler now.
Oh,
you're learning to walk.
Doesn't feel that way.
yeah, you're learning to walk. And so what's the purpose of what do you do at Zen Tea Lounge? Like it's a restaurant, as I mentioned. And what's the purpose behind it, though?
Okay, so Zen Tea Lounge, we created it to provide work readiness program for our women. And then from there, every single dollar we will make there, after paying for our women, that go towards our other program outside from Smithfield. Our purpose, to be honest, we really wanted to create we're on a mission. We're on a mission, we're on a mission to eliminate domestic violence, and that's our focus. We come from all different places, different ethnic background, different religious group, but we're here for one purpose, and that purpose is to help women and to believe in that vision together to eliminate domestic violence all at once.
I mean, we talk a lot about domestic violence in mainstream community, mainstream media, and you know what one of the things I've said over the years is that the domestic violence is like for women of non-English speaking background is something that they don't talk about,
That's right.
and it's something that it's nowadays we have a lot of programs such as the DV program, like Walk Against Violence, that you see a lot in mainstream. But for the people of
Ethnic
non-English
background.
speak background, they're still not participating a lot in those initiatives, are they? Campaigns.
There's a lot of trust issues, and there's self-belief, self-value, limiting beliefs that that we don't want the world to see our pain. We don't want to be vulnerable, and the fear of the unknown, the fear of that's all I know. You know, I brought up the value as well that we've been brainwashed with the idea that you marry to your husband and you're bound with him to the rest of your life. And when he passed away, you go on with your son, you stay with him until the day you die. So
the cultural
belief and that brainwash us to our mindsets that we're limited from it, and we don't want. It's some of our women, they've been with our program for over 3 years, and a lot of them been in domestic violence for 20 years.
Oh gosh!
And they don't even see themselves. They said they don't even know what's abuse. They didn't even know that they was in abuse.
Because it's probably normal, is it?
It
They
was a
became
norm.
so a norm for
Yes,
them.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so how were you able to break that perception in their mindset that is not a norm? Like how did you actually say to them, I mean, if they've lived with domestic violence or abuse for 20 years, and if you say to them, look, that's not normal, what's the initial reaction?
We don't say that.
Okay, you don't.
We actually don't say that. We actually invited them to join the MBSR program, which is a mindfulness-based stress reduction. And this is a program that we use a lot in the hospital or for veteran community. And when our women go to that workshops, you have 38 or 40 women share the same values, same experience with you, and then that's where we talk about our experiences, and then we said, hang on, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And it just by sharing that common experiences and recognizing that we don't deserve self undermining. We don't deserve that self-bullying. Or the idea of
so it's through storytelling. Is that you get these women to share stories?
Yep.
So that then you can intervene in a gentle, in a very diplomatic way. Is that, or?
I think it's all started with community building first, a sense of trust. It all started from there. And then from moving on to the next stage is when they're realizing that what they're having at home is, I'm not alone. It happened to other women. And when I'm not alone, I knowing that other women deserve better. And I know that I deserve better. Stepping away from the idea that I am the victim, or stepping away from the idea that I don't deserve it, of self-worth, and stepping away from a victim role to a warrior role. It's often take about 3 years for them to realizing that I need to change my life around.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that 3 years, how many women have come to seek support from Zen Tea Lounge?
Yeah. We got over 18,000 women and children that came through our program.
Over 18,000?
Yep.
Wow. Yep.
18,522, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Very precise there. 18,522. Yeah. And how do they get to refer to you, or how do you find them? Is it through word of mouth or what?
Yes, we got a lot of referral from Centrelink Counselling Services, community support group. With our work readiness program, they actually came by self-referral. They just heard about us and they came in and they asked for help.
Right. And do you think that these women are now more are comfortable to share their stories with you? Are they comfortable in, obviously in the last 3 years, initially they would have come and it would have been very difficult, but do you think things have improved for them?
We do have a lot of women that came in just to eat the food, drink some tea, and we was expecting a 15-minute conversation, and then we ended up spending about 3 or 4 hours together. And then we hear a story about domestic violence, sexual abuse, things that I was shocked. I was shocked because a lot of women held this story to themselves, and they did not even share it with their family member or their loved ones until they came to our place. And I think it's just because they feel safe, totally unexpected. But I was in pain when I hear this, because for someone to live in this agonizing pain of a bully, and it was just shocking. I was crying.
And do these women then have they left their husbands or partners, or do they still continue to stay while being part of your program?
With the work readiness, it's 100% left their partner. Whilst with the other 3 programs, they stay with their partner. Yeah.
And how do you deal with that then? Because they're still probably going to go home to domestic violence at home.
We don't see it that way. We see it in a way that we use our programs as a bridge to empower our women to develop emotional resilience, where you understand the positive psychology of growth mindset, where you empower to change your mindsets. So we train our women to move from a victim role to a warrior role, empower them to believe in themselves, have self-confidence, and we make sense of the emotion of why it happened the way it is through a psychologist's lens. And then they walk away. Instead of feeling like victim, they walk away feeling that I'm seeing things more through a psychologist's lens. Now that I feel more compassionate toward myself and others, I can understand why my husband is so angry, why my community is so unsupportive. And I can see things in a much more gratitude mindset. And that's where things change. We see women come into our program feeling so helpless and hopeless. And then within 3 years, their situation at home change. They be able to voice up, and they confront their husband. And things change from there.
But what about the husband? Would he have changed?
He changed.
Right.
He changed when his wife said no. Yes. He changed when he see that his wife get better, when his wife go to our MBSR program. He see that his wife's much happier. And she come home and she in love more. She's more giggling. She's enjoy her life more. And he said, oh, I want a piece of that.
Right.
And I want to be part of that. So that's where things started to change.
That's quite different to many. I mean, a lot of the DV programs that you hear of in mainstream is very much about protecting the women, providing women the shelter, and then supporting them to move away from the situation. From what I'm hearing, you're more in one of your programs is you're trying to facilitate a family kind of environment whereby the women grow themselves to become more confident, to have a growth mindset, and to be able to then deal and communicate better with the husband, as well as the husband having a better communication with the wives. Like, do you work on that side as well?
We don't have the funding and resource, but we would love to look into that. But definitely what we see is we want to challenge the status quo. We wanted to do something that our system. So with traditional domestic violence system is we identify the situation and we separate the offender, the perpetrator, and the victim.
That's right. Yeah.
Was with what we believe in is it's almost impossible for ethnic background to do that. So instead of try to create a distance between ourselves and our participant, we create a program where we empower that social positive change using using positive psychology, and we empowering our women to go back home feeling elated, feeling that they have moved beyond that self-victim role. And then when they come back, they'll be able to empower their partner, empower their children to be a better person. The moment our women become who they want it to be, things start to change.
Wow, that's interesting. It'd be interesting to hear, how other communities deal with DVs, because we hear a lot of stories and whether or not the men can change. I mean, we predominantly talk about women being the victim, but because men are the majority perpetrators, but whether or not in the program that you have, if the woman is empowered and stronger when they go back home, and if the men don't change, how are they able to defend themselves? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Before they became offender or the perpetrator, they once was a victim. They came from that environment. And by understanding that it's not their fault. I'm not here to make excuses for anyone. I'm here to advocate for our women and our children. But at the same time, before they became that, once they was a victim themselves in that cycle, they was a children. So
you think you're meaning the men, they've been victims themselves growing up in an violent environment, and they had nobody to mirror other than what they were with their parents, so therefore they... Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, this could be men or women as well, not just men only.
Yeah.
But what we're really saying here is by providing our program, so far it's only fixing the problem on top. Empowering our women, it would not stop the cycle. What we really have to look at is how do we empower the children. So every woman that came to our program normally, in average, would have three sons, 3 kids. So in average, we work it out that if in the next 20 years, we multiply it by 3 times.
Wow.
So the case doesn't get any better. So we need to be really focusing how to empower the change, recognizing that they have the power to change their mindset. They have the power to walk away from that cycle. I don't need to be an abuser. I can be more productive. I have a choice to meet my emotional fulfillment in a more healthy choice, healthy way, rather than be destructive way, to back away from that cycle. And everyone deserves to be loved. Everybody deserves to be emotional fulfilled, as long as we've been shown the right way. Yeah.
What drives you in this space? So what kind of pulled you towards Zen Tea Lounge? And you've given so much of your time and even your financial. As you said, you're a group of women who've put money into this project.
Women and men.
Women and men. That's fantastic. Women and men. So what keeps you, going and driving on this project?
When you become part of something that's bigger than yourself, you just do it. You don't question. You just do it. We see that this is our future. We're gonna do it to the end of our lives. So we're not
long.
we have no rush. We're here. We want to see the result, and we want to provide that change, because we see that there's a missing link in our system.
And what were some of the challenges setting Zen Tea Lounge up and trying to educate the wider community, especially the culturally and linguistically diverse women, about domestic violence?
It's always there's a lot of challenges at the beginning to find the right people, the right mindset that people can. You need to surround yourself with the right people.
Absolutely, I know the feeling.
Yeah. So and the second thing is build that trust within the community for our women. A lot of them come in and they don't they don't want to reach out. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone, even though that comfort zone is full of pain and sorrow. So we have to give that lending hand out and say, here, take our hands. When you're ready, you're ready. We will be here. So that we constantly being there for them and letting them know that we will not be judging. We'll be here. It's the hardest part because it could take years.
It's a long journey, isn't it? Is that what? So as you said from the beginning, your aim is to eliminate domestic violence, especially among ethnic women. What do you think will be some of the hurdles in achieving that?
First thing, you probably know exactly the funding.
It's always the money, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always the money.
We try to be sustainable as much as we could without.
And that's through your cafe?
Through our cafe, our tea corporate. So that's what we try to generate our income. COVID hit us badly.
Yes.
So now we restricted our program to 4 days a week now instead of 6 days a week. And with multiple workshops the same days. However, we are opening another branch in Melbourne soon.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Congratulations.
So having said that, it's all volunteer work.
Yes.
So we are very lucky. We're very lucky that we have so many people that's supporting and behind us and believe in our vision. Our next step is to be able to move forward, to reach out to women. It costs our government $176,000 a year for a lifetime for someone to access to our hospital, our mental health support, but it costs us $22 a year for a woman, and after 3 years, they develop a mindset that they're well balanced. They don't need to go back to the hospital. They don't need to go and see a specialist or psychologist. And they know that they can tap into the community every time I need it to. So to us, having that support, having that belief from our community, sharing that vision with us and give us that feel, believe in what we're doing and gather together, to us is our win and our challenge. Yeah.
So tell me, so what's your one of the thing that you would like people to take away from this conversation we have today, those who are listening to DAWNCast?
Okay, so if you are one of us, if you need to drink tea, if you need a sister to talk to, please come to visit us at Smithfield. We are available online to chat as well if you ever needed someone to talk to. And if you wanted to be part of the organization, if you want to contribute, if you know some organization that needed to order tea once a year, please talk about us to that organization. And we appreciate it very much.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Amy. So that's Amy Nguyen from Zen Tea Lounge. So we will have the details at the bottom of this podcast so that you can get in touch with Amy especially if you're a woman who have experienced domestic violence and you needed somebody to speak with, and you can reach out to Zen Tea Lounge. And also for those organizations who are supportive of individuals and organizations doing social impact work around domestic violence, Zen Tea Lounge is a social enterprise that you can support. We will leave their details at the bottom of the screen as well for you to get in touch with them to give them support. But yes, if you also like, and if you know of other social makers, change makers that they're in the community that you'd like us to highlight, shine the light on those untold stories of unsung heroes, make sure you get in touch with DAWNCast at dawn.org.au. And also subscribe to help us grow. So click on the bell button. So see you next time. So thanks for watching.
You better turn up. You better be there when I shake. Watch me rocking if I can.